Hello and welcome to week 4 and our brand new theme for this week. So, this week we've decided to focus on nautical themed words for you. Now, the reason we chose this is because we know that in 11 plus texts and lots of sort of classic novels, there's lots of references to kind of like nautical things. Now, the reason we chose this is because we know that it comes up loads in classic texts. And when we're talking about nautical, we're basically referring to anything to do with life at sea, like traveling across the sea and things like that. And one thing we're going to be doing inside the 11 Plus English Club this week, as we go through this vocabulary, is also talking about how these words are used in classic texts. So behind the scenes, we're also going to be giving you examples of like where the vocab is used in classic novels, the kind of comprehensions you might get asked. So if you think that's going to be helpful for you, make sure you watch to the end of the video and I'll talk about how you can come join us behind the scenes inside the 11 Plus English Club, and we can help and support you with this vocab even more. But for now, let's dive in and quickly learn our 5 new words for this Monday morning. Okay, word number 1 is the adjective tempestuous. So this is a really great word for describing like storms and life out on the open ocean. So tempestuous essentially means like really stormy or volatile conditions. So when you're talking about it from the sense of like the ocean, it would be like you imagine this really big storm and big huge waves. Be quite dangerous situation to be in. So if you were going to use it in a sentence, you would say something like, the tempestuous weather made sailing in the open ocean incredibly challenging. Okay, so word number 2 that we're going to look at is the verb to navigate. So to navigate is essentially about this idea of like finding your way, like planning a route. And normally we only use the word navigate when we're referring to like maybe boats or planes or any kind of like big method of transport like that. So the way that we could use it in a sentence would be something like, using the stars to navigate, the sailors charted their way across the open oceans. Now, of course, that example there is a lot more of a historical example, but it's something that you would maybe find a little bit more in the classic text because, of course, previously they didn't have the technology that we have now. So they would have used lots of like devices that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the videos, and also as well, mainly using the stars to help them find their way across the ocean. So that's the kind of context that you'll find it in a classic text. Similar to this, our next word is the noun galley. So a galley is like a part of a ship that's often referred to in novels, and essentially it's like a small compartment that's normally like the kitchen area on board the boat. So if you were using it in a sentence, you would say something like, the chef prepared the meals inside the ship's galley. Okay, the next word we're going to look at can also be used as an adverb or an adjective, but for the sake of this video, we're going to focus on it being an adverb. So the word we're looking at is adrift. So essentially, if something is adrift, it means it's in the context of being like out on the water or on the sea. It's this idea that it's not been tied down or secured. So it's describing the way that it's floating. So it's not sort of being held particularly in one place. So if you were going to use it in a sentence, you could say something like, the abandoned boat was floating adrift in the middle of the lake. And the last word we're going to look at is an adjective called undulating. So undulating is a really great way, or again, another word that we could maybe use to describe like the waves and their appearance. Now, undulating essentially means like it's sort of dipping up and down. So like you could often use it to describe like the hills as well in the countryside, like the undulating hills. But you could also use it in the context of describing waves. So our first word, the word tempestuous that we looked at, was this idea of like big, rough, stormy seas. So you imagine these big waves like rolling and crashing. Whereas waves that would be undulating is a little bit more like calmer. So this idea that they're like gentle, if you're looking off into the horizon, you'd see these just a gentle bobbing up and down of the waves. So if we wanted to use it in a sentence, we could say something like, the undulating waves cause the boat to gently bob up and down in the middle of the ocean. Okay, well done for learning those words. So remember, a lot of the words we've talked about here can be used actually as slightly different word classes, and they can be used in lots of different contexts as well. So this is why it's always so important to practice using these words in sentences to really make sure we've got a good understanding of like where it's appropriate to use them and maybe where it might not work. So that's why we really want you to have a go writing some sentences for us in the comments box so we can double check them. And remember, if you want to join us this week and learn a bit more about this vocabulary and how you're going to find it so much more in classic text, understanding a little bit more like nautical terminology, we've got some little special challenges for our members as well, just to kind of like push them in learning more vocabulary, then you'd be very welcome to join us. So if you follow the link that's in the comments box and you use the code YouTube11, you'll get half price on your first month membership, and you get to come and explore all of our amazing resources, our great little community, and you get access to us, and you can ask us any questions you want about the 11 plus, and we're always going to be here and happy to help you. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you inside the club very soon, and I'll be sharing another video with you on Wednesday for more nautical related vocabulary.